Part 182. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1816. Zuyun suddenly broke into a cold sweat. Zhu Feng dares to think more than him. I just thought about killing Lin Fei and leaving his body to the formation immortal. But Zhu Feng wanted to directly refine the body of a real phoenix to a Niao alive. Speaking of which, this may also be a bit contrary to the laws of heaven. But Zhu Feng. But he is such a temperamental person. Taking a deep breath, Zhu Yun said, Zhu Feng, the dragon and phoenix are two divine beasts responsible for guarding the stability of the fairy world. What you did is inappropriate. Is the fairy world stable? Is the fairy world in chaos? Zhu Feng looked confused, blinked, and said, but the dragon and the phoenix are bullying us. Brother, why don't you give them some color? Zhu Yun gave a bitter smile and said, Zhu Feng, if you think about it, you have just arrived in the fairy world. The fairy world is hard to describe. Dragon and phoenix came here with the original intention of preventing evil and evil, however, they are naturally arrogant and look down on us. And then suffered a big loss in this demon refining tower. Zhu Feng thought for a moment and said, brother, what do you mean, let them go temporarily? Well, Zhu Yun nodded and said, at least they did not cause any substantial harm to us. In fact, I also thought before I came back that if those dragons hurt you, I will definitely kill them in the ancestral land of the dragons. Killed in the fairy world. But later, we also know the significance of the existence of the dragon and phoenix clan in the fairy world. Therefore, we have to put aside our personal grudges for the time being. Zhu Feng touched his chin and said, brother, according to my opinion, what is the fairy world like, and what does it have to do with me, Zhu Feng? Zhu Yun shivered and said, Zhu Feng, you. Haha, brother, look how scared you are. Zhu Feng couldn't help laughing when he saw Zhu Yun's nervous expression, and said, if it were before, I would definitely retaliate. But now, I am not the Zhu Feng I used to be. Brother, I listen to you. But as soon as Zhu Yun took a breath, he heard Zhu Feng's turn and asked quickly, but what? However, if I go to the ancestral land of the dragon and phoenix tribes another day, make a big fuss and beat them up, there shouldn't be any problem, right? Hearing this, Zhu Yun couldn't help but dumbfounded. It's okay to make a scene, it's harmless, and it can make the dragon and phoenix tribes put aside their arrogance. Speaking of this, Zhu Yun's eyes also flashed with light, and he said, the dragon and phoenix tribes have always been like this. If we didn't have some skills, I'm afraid we would really die here. Just think of it, teach them a lesson, so that they know who is the master of the fairy world. Yes, that's exactly what I meant. Zhu Feng smiled, turned to look into the distance, and said, brother, you have tricked the Phoenix clan into coming in. How about we go and have fun with it? Zhu Yun thought for a moment and said, what's the point of teasing a real phoenix now? If you want to tease, then we will go to the Chinese immortal realm to tease the entire Phoenix clan. Now the eldest brother has another question. Let's ask it first. Don't waste any time talking to them. After the dragons and phoenixes are sent away, I'll tell you some things about the fairy world. Brother, I listen to you. Zhu Feng nodded, and the two quickly rushed over. Not long after, they saw Miao Yu in human form. In addition to being suppressed in his own realm, Miao Yu found that the two of them had returned to the realm of immortals. Tu de luo Jingxian. Don't talk nonsense, Zhu Yun sneered, turning his hand to become a cloud. A big grey hand fell from the sky, pressed down hard, and directly pressed Miao Yu to the ground. Have we found the Phoenix Queen? Tell the truth about the characteristics of the Phoenix Queen. Ask me what the Phoenix Queen is doing. Miao Yu was on fire, but Zhu Yun's chaotic hand was unable to hurt him at all. That is the purest chaotic immortal power. and it also contains the laws of the 5 elements, including the individual laws of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. Phoenix fire is also fire. How can it hurt this palm of chaotic immortal power? Do you think you still have a chance to choose? Zhu Yun sneered, turned to look at Zhu Feng, and said, since he talks so much nonsense, how about you suck him dry, and then I'll trick a Phoenix clan into coming in. Zhu Feng naturally knew that Zhu Yun wanted to act with him, so he said with a smile, thank you, big brother, for making it possible. I just said it, just suck this turkey, so you don't have to talk nonsense with him. After that, he started to activate the devouring demonic art, and endless black energy emerged from his body. This black energy was naturally demonic energy, and it quickly formed a black vortex between Zhu Feng's eyebrows. The flames coming out of Miao Yu's body were actually sucked into it. Miao Yu's expression changed drastically and he screamed, the whale swallows the demon clan. He, Zhu Feng laughed twice and said, I didn't expect you to recognize it. If so, am I going to kill people and silence them? He was a little entranced, but Zhu Yun frowned. The dragon and phoenix tribes were already biased against the demons, and they looked at them as if they were demons from outside the realm. Zhu Feng will still have to survive in the fairy world in the future, and he will have to deal with the dragon and phoenix clans. What if? He stretched out his hand to stop Zhu Feng. Brother. The demonic aura on Zhu Feng's body immediately dissipated. Zhu Yun then asked, do you know what the whale-swallowing demon clan is? Seeing his serious expression, Zhu Feng quickly shook his head and said, I don't know. At this time, Miao Yu was stunned, and soon he shouted in a cold voice, don't know? You just admitted it to yourself. Don't think I don't recognize the whale-swallowing demon skill that appeared on your body. I learned the magic of swallowing demons from the lower world. I am a serious human race, not a demon race. Zhu Feng said disdainfully. In the past, he had no scruples for the sake of strength, and it didn't matter what he became. What matters is that it is strong enough. But after understanding his thoughts, he always remembered what Zhu Yun told him. Born to be human. If you are not a demon, how can you learn demon skills? From the perspective of our dragon and phoenix clans, humans who learn demon skills will one day become demons sooner or later. Humph, otherwise, those in the lower world who practice demon skills will monk. Why did you ascend directly into the sea of chaotic stars? What did you say? As the demon cultivator ascends, will he enter the sea of chaos stars? This is news that even Zhu Yun doesn't know. Never thought of it? Nonsense. Miao Yu's eyes almost burst out with anger as he said, the demonic skills of the lower world are originally passed down by the demons in the chaotic sea of stars using various methods. If it weren't for our dragon and phoenix clans hiding it in order to protect themselves, how can these demons have a chance to preach? If you do this kind of thing, you will be killed by us. The immortal world is in chaos. We only prioritize and control the passage of the demon realm from expanding with our limited power. Otherwise, all those who cultivate demons in the immortal realm will die. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1817. Zhu Yun originally wanted to inquire about the Phoenix Queen, but unexpectedly, he heard about the demon cultivator's ascension. Put it this way. Leng Bing and other demon cultivators, he has never heard any news in the fairy world, and has never seen any demon cultivators. It can be seen from this that these demon cultivators are directly in the sea of chaotic stars. The demon clan has difficulty reproducing and has done a lot of bad things secretly. It's a pity that our dragon and phoenix clans are too busy to take care of themselves. Otherwise, just based on the aura of this kid, I will kill him here. And you, Zhu Yun, right? I don't care how you deceived Aobai. But I tell you, you succeeded happily in the end. The fairy world will eventually be the place protected by our dragon and phoenix clans. Miao Yu wanted to say something else, but Zhu Feng suddenly flashed out of the way. The next moment, a pitch-black slap hit him hard on the face. Fire splashed everywhere, and the phoenix spit blood all over the floor. It's just the human race. Two watchdogs from our land in the human world dare to bark like this. Zhu Feng suddenly became angry, leaving Zhu Yun stunned. Indeed, even though Miao Yu was suppressed here, he still looked down on the human race in his words. And Zhu Feng's slap released all the depression in his heart. Yes, the fairy world is the land of our human race. You dragon and phoenix beasts. They are just the watchdogs of our human world. And that door is naturally the passage to the demon world. It's like, a hole suddenly appeared in a small courtyard, and the dog at home should take care of it. Instead, after looking at this place, I didn't go to the other places in the house where the walls were intact to see if someone would break in. He is even less qualified to bark at the people at home. In an instant, Zhu Yun figured it out. Own. Is it necessary to be polite? You were not polite to Aobai before, why do you still need to be polite to Miao Yu? Zhu Yun sneered. What should I do if my watchdog disobeys? Then, lock him up and starve him for 3 days. When he becomes obedient, when will he have food? Killing is not allowed. Dogs will ultimately be their owner's most loyal friends. It depends on how you train me. Well trained, they can be like family members. If the training is not good, then lock him up forever. Perhaps it was the changes in time that made the dragon and phoenix clans forget the meaning of their existence. Zhu Yun sneered and said, Zhu Feng, how could you do this? Zhu Feng frowned, feeling something was wrong. He thought Zhu Yun was speaking for Miao Yu, more like he was begging for Miao Yu. Unexpectedly, Zhu Yun stepped forward and kicked him hard. Puff! Miao Yu suddenly vomited blood. The movements were so cruel and the immortal power was so strong that even Zhu Feng was stunned. Zhu Yun did not stop, and continued to sneer, holding the immortal secret in his hand. The big hand of chaotic immortal power instantly lifted Miao Yu up. Zhu Feng, I ask him a question. If he doesn't answer in 3 breaths, you will suck 10% of his power. If he doesn't answer, just suck him dry. Whether the demon cultivator is a human race or not, it is not their dragon and phoenix who have the final say. It's us, the people, who have the final say. Zhu Feng's eyes suddenly lit up, and the previous gloom in his heart was swept away. He didn't know at all that it was because of his unintentional words to help Zhu Yun get ahead of him that he had prompted Zhu Yun. Okay, big brother, I've long wanted to inhale what the legendary beast tastes like. Zhu Feng was overjoyed and even licked his lips. In this demon refining tower, for him, there is no beast that he cannot absorb. Zhu Yun controlled the big hand of chaos and slowly put Miao Yu down. It's still the same question as before, what are the characteristics of Queen Huang? Miao Yu's mouth was bleeding, and the strength of his blood was scattered, manifesting itself in the form of phoenix fire. Facing Zhu Yun's questioning, he chuckled and said, Do you dare? I am a divine beast. The Phoenix clan. Mythical beast. Zhu Yun sneered and turned to look at Zhu Feng. Brother, look at me. Zhu Feng was shocked, strode forward, and suddenly stretched out his palm. Devour the magic power. Because he had promised him that he could only absorb Miao Yu into a phoenix fire, Zhu Feng did not dare to get too close for fear that he would not be able to control it. And with this distance, he can easily control the degree of phoenix fire absorbed. As the magic power circulated, a phoenix fire soon surged towards Zhu Feng's hand like a whale swallowing it. At this time, Zhu Yun also understood the whale-swallowing demon clan. It seems that this demon-swallowing skill comes from the whale-swallowing demon clan from Luandihe. But for some reason, he had never heard Mengwei mention this demon clan. But it is not important at the moment, but Zhu Yun watched the phoenix fire being sucked away by Zhu Feng through the air, and an inexplicable thought appeared in his heart. The Phoenix clan calls him a demon clan. Otherwise, let Zhu Feng go to Luanzingai to help Mengwei. Anyway, isn't Mengwei on the holy demon star in the chaotic star sea? No, not necessarily. Maybe Mengwei has unified the holy demon star and then conquered other demon clans. If Zhu Feng's demon refining tower helps, it might really be possible. And this world of 3 talents, without any living beings, may also become the habitat of demons. Brother, it's ready. While Zhu Yun was thinking, Zhu Feng's voice came to his ears. When he turned around, he saw that Miao Yu's expression had become much wizened. Humph, don't even want to know the news about our Phoenix clan. Miao Yu had a tough talk, but Zhu Yun didn't bother to say anything and tilted his head towards Zhu Feng. I suck. Zhu Feng was feeling the power transformed by the fire breath of the pure real Phoenix, and at the same time he was communicating with a Niao in his heart, but he didn't expect that Miao Yu was so unruly, so he just continued to absorb it. A Niao was originally a golden rock monster. It is actually very difficult to become a phoenix. However, if the phoenix fire is used, it is not impossible. Zhu Feng was also thinking that if a Niao could have a physical body, it would be of great help to his future practice. After a moment, Miao Yu still didn't speak. Zhu Yun's face was grim. Until, only 10% of the fire power was left in Miao Yu. The flames on his body were shaking, as if they would go out at any time. Brother, Zhu Feng knew that Zhu Yun's original intention was not to let Miao Yu die, but to use Miao Yu to give the Phoenix clan a warning. If he died, it would be unwise to offend the Phoenix clan for no reason. What? Zhu Yun turned around and heard that Zhu Feng had other intentions. I heard a saying before, but I don't quite understand what it means. Now I am reminded of it. Can you help me solve it first? Zhu Yun didn't know what Zhu Feng was going to say, but he believed that Zhu Feng would not ask this question for no reason at this time, so he was naturally happy to cooperate, so he said, ask. He, Zhu Feng laughed strangely and said, I heard a saying before, a phoenix that fell to the ground is not as good as a chicken, is it describing him now? Hearing this, Zhu Yun was immediately happy. The Phoenix clan is arrogant. But if it is described as a chicken, it is simply a great insult. Yes, it is really not as good as a chicken, Zhu Yun grinned, as if no one was around. Zhu Feng, if you say that we throw this hairless chicken to those Phoenix clan to take back, what do you think will happen? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1818. No, don't. Miao Yu is not only arrogant, but also very concerned about face. Moreover, his strength is also the strongest among all the phoenixes. In fact, as far as Zhu Yun is concerned, Miao Yu has a strong character and is indeed worthy of admiration. But now, he has determined that the dragon and phoenix tribes are just looking after the homes and courtyards for their human tribe. If they can behave well, they can become family members in the courtyard. If it's not good, he will naturally take action. Don't want. Zhu Yun grinned and said, I've already given you the opportunity, but you rejected it 9 times, so there's nothing to say. I don't believe that there are so many phoenix tribes out there who are as tough as you, Miao Yu. No, I said it's not okay. Miao Yu was convinced. But he also decided in his heart that if asked about the secrets of the Phoenix clan, he would never speak. Would rather die. After all, Zhu Yun just asked a question right now, what are the characteristics of Queen Huang? The reason why the Dragon and Phoenix clans were in such a situation and had to hide themselves was simply because the Dragon clan's Hualongqi was missing, and the Phoenix clan's Phoenix Queen was also missing. Now that the Phoenix Queen is back, the Phoenix clan can stand up in the fairy world again. It can even faintly suppress the Dragon clan. This news is not too important a secret. Let me tell you, Miao Yu gritted his teeth and said, the queen is still human, and we just found her from the Chinese immortal realm. Personal. An idea appeared in Zhu Yun's mind and he immediately asked, what's your name? Name. This made Miao Yu stunned, and he subconsciously said, the queen is the queen, how can she have a name? Zhu Yun, he asked, I'm asking you, what is her name in person? The human body, it seems to be Sun or something, I can't remember clearly. When Miao Yu saw Zhu Yun angry, he was also frightened, fearing that he would let Zhu Feng suck him dry and then throw him as a hairless chicken in front of the tribe, thus losing face. This would be worse than death, so he racked his brains and answered. Is it Sun Qiniang? Zhu Yun's voice rose again. Yes, it's Sun Qiniang, yes, you, how do you know? When Miao Yu heard Zhu Yun call out his name, he remembered it instantly, but the next moment, he was shocked beyond measure. Queen Huang didn't even remember his name, so how could Zhu Yun know? And now, not only Zhu Yun, but also Zhu Feng was completely stunned. Sun Qiniang. Turns out to be Queen Huang? The two looked at each other in complete disbelief. Zhu Feng swallowed his saliva first and said, brother, my master is not. Sun Qiniang also taught Zhu Feng and personally taught the 18 sword techniques of Wanjian Mountain. This was also the reason why Wan Potion later accepted him as his disciple and taught him the sword with great ease. She once refined the 7 phoenix pearls. Zhu Yun didn't know much, only that she had experienced this with Ye Yuan's help. In addition, she took in the soul of the Yellow Star Phoenix Queen and stayed with her all the time. 7 phoenix pearls. Hearing the conversation between Zhu Yun and Zhu Feng, Miao Yu was also shocked. You said that our Phoenix Queen was originally a human, and she refined the 7 phoenix pearls to become a phoenix body. Zhu Yun narrowed his eyes, came back to his senses, looked at Miao Yu and said, Sun Qiniang is my close friend. Is there any problem with becoming the queen of your Phoenix clan? It's not that he wants to find out any secrets, but he can still hear the arrogance naturally revealed in Miao Yu's words. It seems that it is a great insult for the human race to become their Phoenix Queen. No, it's not. Miao Yu denied it. He already knew the attitude of the Zhu Yun brothers towards their 2 divine beast clans. Recalling that Aobai helped Zhu Yun block his blow before, Miao Yu suddenly had an idea in his mind. What does the Dragon clan have to do with you? Do you have the Dragon balls in your hands? Zhu Yun was stunned, shook his head, and said, I once had the Dragon balls, but I gave them to my demon dragon friend to refine. You actually gave the Dragon balls to the demon dragon. Miao Yu took a breath of cold air. I have the Hualong Pond in my hand, do I still need to care about the Dragon balls? Zhu Yun sneered and dropped an even more important piece of news. Hualong Pond. Miao Yu screamed in surprise. Yes, Hualong Pond. The fairy weapon I gave Aobai contains the water of Hualong Pond. Miao Yu. You dragon and phoenix tribes could have become my friends. But before that, you must put away the divine beasts. So arrogant. Otherwise, we 2 brothers wouldn't mind killing you. No, you can't. Miao Yu felt deeply disappointed. Not to mention that he personally experienced the horror of the demon refining tower. He even thought that Aobai might have experienced something like this before, so he treated Zhu Yun with utmost respect. There is nothing wrong, Zhu Feng also said at the right time. I said, you dragon and phoenix tribes are just watchdogs of our human race. Watchdogs must have the awareness of watchdogs. If you watch well, we will treat it as in the fairy world, the human race and the demon race already live in harmony. But if you want to be superior to our human race, then I'm sorry. Don't blame us for letting you understand what the 2 masters are. The meaning of the word. Zhu Feng was also smart and knew Zhu Yun's position from every word he said. Miao Yu took a deep breath, but was speechless. After a long while, he said, "Since you said you are a friend of our Phoenix Queen, then, I want to know what your attitude is towards our Phoenix clan." Originally, the fairy land was guarded by the 4 divine beasts, and later it was handed over to our dragon and Phoenix clans. 4 divine beasts. Zhu Yun inadvertently heard the secret again. Yes, the fairy land was originally guarded by the 4 divine beasts, and later they retreated for some reason, so it was handed over to our 2 clans to maintain stability. But since the disappearance of the immortal lord, the 4 divine beasts have gradually disappeared. Except for knowing that they are in the 4 fairy land, there is no news at all. Zhu Yun frowned. Because Bei Minjiun told him that he felt the power of Suanwu protecting the northern fairy land. This is not exactly the same as what Miao Yu said. What went wrong? Bei Minjiun is unlikely to lie to him. In addition, there are 5 fairy lands for the 4 divine beasts. It is impossible for the Phoenix clan to guard the central fairy land. It's just that their ancestral land is in it. Zhu Yun couldn't figure out the key point. After thinking about it, he put the question aside and said, "I want to go to the central fairy land to see your Phoenix Queen. Can you lead the way?" "No." Miao Yu reacted strongly and objected immediately. Zhu Yun frowned. "It's not that we don't want to lead, it's hard to enter the central fairy land now." After hearing Miao Yu's explanation, Zhu Yun asked back, "How is it hard to enter? Is it because of the relationship between the Lord of Wind, Cloud, and Thunder, or the relationship between Qiulinjian, or the relationship between Ye Yang?" As soon as these words came out, Miao Yu's face changed again. "I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills." Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1819. Miao Yu can understand that Zhu Yun has such strength. But not only did he report the Lord of Wind, Cloud, and Thunder, he was also able to guess Qiulinjian, which really surprised him. In fact, in the fairy world, not many immortals know Qiulinjian's name. Generally, they only know that she is the fairy queen, but not her person. At most, everyone knows that Qiulinjian was once a member of the 9-tailed demon fox clan. But Zhu Yun directly guessed the reason why it was difficult to enter the Chinese immortal realm at this time. How could Miao Yu not be surprised? As for Queen Huang, it was Qiulinjian who found it for them. "What, are you surprised?" When Zhu Yun saw the other party's reaction, he actually guessed a little bit. "It's surprising." Miao Yu took a deep breath and said, "How do you know the name of the fairy queen?" "It's not important." Zhu Yun raised his eyebrows and said, "Just tell me, can you take me to the Chinese immortal realm, and by the way, meet your queen?" "I can bring it, but..." Miao Yu looked sad. "But what?" "Let's be honest, I don't think you want to be a hairless free-range chicken." This was a naked threat. As expected, Miao Yu's face darkened and he quickly said, "The Phoenix Queen is just a body of phoenix fire now. Our clan leader is gathering the fire power from the old sycamore tree to help her recover." Phoenix fire body. Zhu Yun frowned and thought to himself, could it be that Sun Qiniang was murdered by the 5 elements loose immortal after he entered the chaos? Because of this, Qiulinjian sent Lord Fenjiun Thunder and Lightning to come to rescue him, and he happened to meet him? No, that's not right. Zhu Yun shook his head, the time was not right. Since it is not the 5 elements loose immortal, then it can only be Zhao Qianke. It's a pity that Zhao Qianke is already dead, otherwise he would have to ask him no matter what does the phoenix fire on Sun Qiniang have to do with it? But right now, if he wants to go, he has no way of knowing. In the ancestral land of the dragon clan, Zhu Yun holds the dragon transformation pond in his hand, so he can try it out. But the ancestral land of the Phoenix clan. Perhaps there is no need at this time. Seeing the hesitation on Zhu Yun's face, Zhu Feng stepped forward and whispered, "Brother, can't you go?" "Can't go." Zhu Yun sighed, not only because of the reason he thought of, but also because of the unstable situation in the Chinese immortal territory. Qiu Linjian has been hiding in the northern immortal realm. Now he suddenly went to the Chinese immortal realm and made such a move. I'm afraid it's not easy. Just in case, let's solve the Purgatory Mountain issue first. After killing Xianxia, the Chaos Emperor chain had returned to him. But in the Chinese immortal realm, there are 3 immortal lords. Except for Ye Yang, Lord Fenjian and Thunder and Qiu Linjian had no idea whether they were enemies or friends. Forget it for now, Zhu Yun glanced at Miao Yu and said, "Go back to the Feng clan and tell your clan leader that if the Feng clan still despises our human race as before, don't blame me and my brother for killing each other. In your ancestral land, cut down your parasol trees." Miao Yu lowered his head, not daring to express his anger. Zhu Feng used a Niao to get him out of the demon refining tower, and then said, "Brother, what should we do?" "What to do?" Zhu Yun whispered, and then said, "It stands to reason that you have broken through the Deluo Golden Immortal Realm, and it is your business to stay and practice. But this world of 3 talents has attracted the Dragon and Phoenix tribes respectively, and I am afraid it is not safe enough for the time being. How about you? When we go to Mayan Bay Fairy Kingdom, we need to find Wan Potion first." "Master Sword Immortal? Where is he?" Zhu Feng was stunned. "Yes, over there." Zhu Yun originally thought of taking him to the chaos through the Liulai world, and then transferred to the chaos to reach the Mayan Bay Fairy Kingdom. "But I have some concerns. Zhu Feng is a Deluo Jinxian. If his death has an impact on his glazed world, that would be bad. After all, there is no demon refining tower in the glazed world. Although I have the immortal mirror in hand, the immortal mirror controls the laws of time and space, and it seems to be of little use. We can only step back and let him go on his own." "But brother, Zhu Feng stopped talking. Zhu Yun thought he wanted to follow her, so he had to say, "Zhu Feng, I have a lot of things to do and I can't take care of you. Meeting you was actually an accident. You listen to your elder brother and go to Mayan Bay Fairyland. Look for Wan Potion. Now Anshan is over there, and there is the immortal Lord Wan Potion. You can practice with peace of mind. With your talent, you can come to the immortal world to find me. Then where should I find you?" Zhu Feng sighed in his heart. He finally met Zhu Yun, and since he was so successful in the world, he actually wanted to help Zhu Yun. "If you have nowhere to go after coming out of the Mayan Bay Immortal Kingdom, you can go to the Northern Immortal Realm to find their Immortal Emperor. The Northern Immortal Emperor has a good relationship with me. However, he may not be there. After you enter the Immortal Emperor Realm, report my name, someone will take you into it. Then you can just wait for me to go back." What Zhu Yun is thinking about is that the world of immortality is vast, and after this separation, who knows when we will see each other again. Besides, it was not stable enough at this time, and the world of Sankei was close to the passage of the demon world, so he was also afraid that something might happen to Zhu Feng. With his strength, he probably doesn't have much power to protect himself. "Oh well." Zhu Feng took a deep breath and said, "Brother, I will take a good look at this world and then go to Mayan Bay Fairyland." "Well," Zhu Yun nodded and said, "I will tell you the route to Mayan Bay Fairy Kingdom." Zhu Yun gathered his immortal power and formed a simple picture of the immortal world in front of him. It doesn't need to be too detailed. It just marks the general directions of the 5 immortal realms and the location of the Mayan Bay Immortal Kingdom. I believe that Zhu Feng will be able to go over there and meet Wan Potion when the time comes. Okay, please send me out, it's time for me to leave. There is no banquet in the world that never ends. Although Zhu Yun was a little reluctant to leave, he knew that he should leave. Beiminjiun is still guarding Purgatory Mountain. Brother, please go out first. I want to be alone. Zhu Feng didn't seem to be very interested. With a thought, he sent Zhu Yun out of the demon refining tower. He sat on the spot and murmured to himself, brother is doing this for my own good and is worried that something will happen to me. But what if it's me? Growing up under your wings is not the path to immortality that I, Zhu Feng, want. As he spoke, he raised his head and said to the sky, a bird, do you think so? Niao and Zhu Feng had the same mind. He already knew Zhu Feng's thoughts and said, you don't want to go to Mayan Bay Fairyland, right? Master Sword Immortal probably won't stay in that fairyland. As a sword cultivator, his lifelong dream is to find someone to compete with others in sword competition. How can he stay there after finally returning to the fairy world? Zhu Feng didn't answer the question, and Niao also understood it and said, actually, what you want to tell Zhu Yun is not to follow him, but to go to Chaotic Star Sea. Zhu Feng stood up and said with a smile, Niao, do you still remember that the Phoenix tribe said that I am a demon? Of course I remember. His first reaction was to call you, the whale-swallowing demon clan. On the outside, Zhu Feng, I'm afraid that you will have trouble controlling yourself after entering the sea of chaotic stars. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1820. Don't worry, it won't happen. Zhu Feng smiled confidently, aren't you born to be human? Niao asked again, then you went to Chaotic Star Sea, to find the whale-swallowing demon clan. Of course, Zhu Feng raised his eyebrows and said, in addition to finding the whale-swallowing demon clan and perfecting this demon-devouring skill, I actually want to find the demon clan from which the 9th generation demon skill comes from. If possible, I hope I can continue to practice without going through 9 lifetimes until one day I can make my brother look at me squarely. Bless the wind. Hearing Zhu Feng's words, Niao shouted in shock, don't be possessed. Niao, you misunderstood. Zhu Feng suddenly smiled again and said, I just want my eldest brother to stop treating me as the naughty boy who was protected by my father, and I don't want to be protected by him all the time. Look at this once, it was clear that he was also a Deluo Jinxian, and so was I, but he was still worried about me. So, you thought of going to Chaos Zingai? Actually, in addition to perfecting the magic skills, do you also want to find Mengwei? Yes, Zhu Feng said without denying, just don't get it wrong, that's my sister-in-law. If possible, I will help her secretly. Ani outside, regained his energy, and said, Zhu Feng, you know, I am transformed by good thoughts. As long as there is a little evil thought in your heart, I would rather die with you and imprison you in this demon refining forever. In the tower. A bird, since then to chaos, haven't you understood me? The bird was silent. He and Zhu Feng can be said to be one body, living and dying together. Who doesn't understand the other? But, he was really afraid that Zhu Feng would make the same mistake again. Because people's hearts are unpredictable. But he couldn't interfere with Zhu Feng's decision. After all, he was just the tower spirit of the demon refining tower. It's not so bad in this tower. But after leaving the tower, Zhu Fengruo doesn't need the demon refining tower. There is nothing he can do. Okay, Zhu Feng said again, I swallowed all the spiritual power of the Sankei world into my body. Now I try to change the properties of the spiritual power in the tower so that I can fully control this world. By then, I guess you don't need to be Optimus Prime here, you can go to the Chaos Star Sea with me. After all, I don't dare to go to the demon clan's lair. Try it, I can help you. Niao cheered up and watched Zhu Feng sitting cross-legged on the ground, slowly releasing a spiritual power he had never seen before. Among the 3 talents, human spiritual power. You guys haven't left yet. Zhu Yun appeared in front of the Tongmen. He was not in a hurry to directly enter the world of colored glaze, but first removed the Xianxian formation here. But just after collecting the fairy crystals, he saw the dragon and phoenix tribes standing outside the formation. None left. I haven't said goodbye to you yet. Aobai said respectfully. Miao Yu glanced at Aobai and said, the rest of the clan haven't said goodbye to Zhu Xian yet. After the words fell, all the phoenix people behind Miao Yu said in unison, Zhu Xian, see you later. Aobai frowned. He could see that Miao Yu looked sluggish and he was forced to mention it. He obviously suffered a lot. He also had a new understanding of Zhu Yun, secretly noted it in his mind, and signaled to the dragons behind him. Zhu Xian, we have also left. If we have time to come to our dragon clan's ancestral land as a guest, I will welcome you. They were hiding the news about Hualongqi because they were afraid that the Phoenix clan would find out. Little did he know that Zhu Yun had already told Miao Yu. Go, it's time for me to leave. Zhu Yun waved his hand lightly, and the two groups of divine beasts left one after another, each turning into a stream of light, and soon rushed out of this world. A long while. Zhu Yunke sighed, looked back at the demon refining tower, and his pupils shrank again. I saw that on the demon refining tower, which was originally black and filled with black energy, the black energy turned into human spiritual power. Human spiritual power is constantly entwining and flowing below. Zhu Feng's talent is truly terrifying. The properties of the demon refining tower actually include human spiritual power. With an exclamation, Zhu Yun also knew that it was time to leave and couldn't waste too much time here. His figure flashed, and the next moment, he appeared in the Liyulai world. It hasn't been too long since I've been here, but several hours have passed. But he was pleasantly surprised to find that his Liyulai world had also undergone subtle changes. Master, it's the relationship between the mortals you brought in. Their talents seem to be very good, and monks have already appeared. Zhenlongxi also woke up and suddenly turned into a human form and stood beside Zhu Yun. Oh! Zhu Yun's eyes showed joy. The origin of the world, in addition to requiring many living beings, the increase in overall strength was also of great benefit to him. For example, before, he ordered Yesuanhua and others to allow all living beings to embark on the path to immortality as much as possible. Then, are they cultivating the three talents' spiritual power? Zhu Yun asked quickly. No, Zhenlongxi smiled bitterly, although I don't know the three talents' spiritual power, I also know that what they cultivate does not belong to any kind of three talents' spiritual power. On the contrary, it is more like all the powers in this world. Collection. Zhu Yun couldn't help but wonder, chaos power. That's right. Dragon Suppressing Stone was not too sure, and said, I paid special attention to the person who first reached the Qi refining stage. He seemed to be able to change the attributes of his power at any time, or to the 5 elements of spiritual power, or to magic power. There were also pseudo-immortals. Li. Right. Zhenlongxi slapped his forehead again and said, anyway, it is grayish-white, very similar to the chaos immortal power, but it lacks the power of faith. The power of faith should be mine. Zhu Yun rolled his eyes at him and said, you observe carefully, I still need to go see Xianxia. If they return to Purgatory Mountain, both the 5 elements Luce Immortal and Lin Fei must die. And Zhu Yun promised Xianxia that he would leave him a body of an immortal lord. If Xianxia can perfectly return to the realm of the immortal lord, it will be a good thing for him. He is very sure that Xianxia will lean towards him and become his helper. Things must be done one by one. After all, Wan Potion also suppressed the 2 immortal emperors, and now I don't know what the situation is. As long as he is sure that the 2 immortal emperors can no longer turn over, then he will go to the dragon clan again. If he can attract the help of the dragon clan, he can enter the central immortal domain in one fell swoop. At that time, The chaotic southern immortal domain can probably be pacified later. Finally, with the power of the entire human race, and then with Menghui's internal and external cooperation, enter the Chaos Star Sea. At that time, the entire fairy world can respond to the call and directly seal the passage to the demon world. In this way, none of the escaped fish of the extraterritorial demons in the fairy world can escape. Master, you can leave the affairs of this world to me. I can't do it, there are still old trees and mountains. Xianxia also said hurriedly. Zuyun nodded, and went to the world sea to find the formation fairy. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1821. Last time, the array immortal had recovered into a ball of light and shadow. This time, it took quite some time. As long as he can recover some consciousness, he should be able to use Lin Fei's body for himself. Zuyun thought about it, but there was still a problem, that is, how to store the array immortal's soul. He had almost no treasures in the fairy world, except for the fairy weapon he got from Lian Zhen Immortal Lord, which was not suitable for the array immortal. How about the fairy mirror? Zuyun touched his chest. One side of the fairy mirror was dominated by the universe, and the other side was dominated by the universe. No matter which one was time and which one was space, it was not important to Zuyun. He thought about it and took out the fairy mirror. This side is space. There should be no problem putting the array immortal soul in it. This is his own natal fairy weapon. Since the lower world, it has been tightly connected with Zuyun, otherwise this glass world would not be easily formed. Zuyun felt that there should be no big problem. Moreover, not only did he almost master the avenue of space, but even Xianxia himself was also proficient in the avenue of space. The difference between the two in this avenue was nothing more than the different understanding of the universe of space. Xianxia still regarded space as the universe. But Zuyun didn't care about another name for space at all. For him, it was not important. But thinking like this, on the way to the world sea, Zuyun couldn't help but think. There was a problem with the abbreviation of this law. Could it be a conspiracy? He actually thought of this possibility a long time ago. But there was no clue. Or, he didn't have time to check why it was so. Never mind, let's consider it after the fairy world is stable. Maybe Xian Wuzong knows something. Zuyun curled his lips and stopped thinking about it, and went straight to the seaside of the world. Above the sea, Zhengxian's immortal soul really grew a lot. What made Zuyun smile helplessly was that the immortal soul, which had just taken on a human form, had a lot of fun playing with a group of sea monsters. Xianxian. Zuyun flew over, and when he was about to fly close, he shouted loudly. Xianxian was having too much fun, and was almost scared to death by this sudden shout. When he turned around and saw that it was Zuyun, he condensed his immortal soul and showed his original appearance and flew towards Zuyun. Good boy, I was almost scared to death by you. Xianxian had a face full of resentment. This was Zuyun's world, and his realm would not be affected in any way, so even if he shouted casually, it was faintly filled with the breath of immortal power. Zhengxian's immortal soul was not stable, and he was unprepared, so he almost dispersed. I thought you were fine, Zuyun raised his eyebrows and said, come with me. Where to? Zhenxian was stunned, but then reacted and said happily, have you solved the problem of the immortal body? Not yet, Zuyun said truthfully, but this time when I leave the glass world, I plan to solve the immortal king. Great, Zhenxian was also very happy, saying, I have suffered from not having an immortal body. If I had an immortal body before, I would not have been blown into such a ghost by the immortal weapon, and I almost died. Zuyun took out his immortal mirror with a smile, patted the back, and said, "Go in. Go in." Xianxia shuddered all over. He felt that this immortal weapon had an instinctive fear. "Yes, if I don't go in, how can I take your immortal soul away?" Zuyun didn't know what happened. Xianxia, who had been looking forward to leaving, would have such a reaction. "Zuyun, can you tell me, where this mirror came from?" The array immortal had not seen the formation of the immortal mirror with his own eyes, and he was originally one of the instrument immortals who was refined into a mirror by Nangong Tianli. Although the immortal mirror at this time has almost no similarities with the cosmic glass mirror, the array immortal, who only has the immortal soul, can feel it to some extent. This mirror was formerly the cosmic glass mirror. Zuyun told the truth, and the array immortal shook his head like a rattle. Zuyun couldn't help laughing and said, "Why, you still don't trust me?" "It's not that I don't believe it," the array immortal said with a wry smile, "I'm afraid I can't get out if I go in." "There must be no mirror immortal in your mirror, right?" "Yes, there is no." Zuyun nodded as a matter of course, but then he knew the array immortal's concerns, and thought in his heart that there seemed to be such a risk, and he couldn't help frowning. "I don't have any other immortal weapon. If I don't take you out, I won't be able to give you a fresh immortal body. If you don't have an immortal weapon, then you can find an ordinary spiritual weapon. With your weapon refining method, plus your current ability, plus a little bit of space law, I can hide in it." Zuyun was surprised. "Is this possible?" "Nonsense," Zhenxian couldn't help but despise. "You are a Jinxian, right? But why do you still stay in the perspective of a cultivator?" Zuyun touched his chin, but he was not angry. He simply touched the ring he brought from the lower world. In an instant, everything in the ring was poured out. Huh! Suddenly, he saw a wordless book. 5 Elements Chaos Sutra. It's not that he was surprised to see this technique again. But he found that he couldn't see the words on the cover at this time. "Aren't I a 5 spiritual root?" Feeling strange, Zuyun took the 5 Elements Chaos Sutra in his hand and flipped open a page. There was no word in it. He was even more puzzled. Could it be that because I became an immortal, my spiritual roots disappeared, so it didn't count? "Zuyun, your book seems good. It contains some laws. I think it's good for me to hide in it." Zhenxian obviously couldn't see the words on it, and said happily, "Is it okay?" Zuyun came back, feeling something was wrong, but he couldn't remember where it was. However, just after asking the question, he felt that even if it was wrong, it should be his relationship. Since Zhenxian said that he could hide in it, it would definitely not affect him. "Of course it's okay," Zhenxian said with a smile. "Don't throw this book away, I'll go in now." After saying that, Zhenxian turned into a stream of light and went directly into the 5 Elements Chaos Sutra, and there was no sound immediately. Zuyun picked up the book again, felt it a little, and found that Zhenxian was indeed safe inside, so he was relieved. He waved his hand and everything on the ground flew back into the ring. He then nodded to the solemn sirens, and then flew into the sky, straight into the chaos. "It's time to go to the Mayanbei Immortal Kingdom. By the way, tell Wan Potion that Zhu Feng is coming, and then let him take care of Wanjian Mountain, and I will go to Purgatory Mountain." Zuyun muttered, and used the chaos escape technique, escaping all the way to the entrance of the chaos. But when he got out of the chaos and stepped into the border of the Mayanbei Immortal Kingdom, he suddenly found that Wanjian Mountain was gone. "I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills." Author, Banzhuan Xianxia. Chapter 1822. Wanjianshan is gone, which means the 2 immortal emperors are gone too. Are they alive or dead, or have they escaped, or are they staying in the Mayanbei Immortal Kingdom? Lu Chen's heart suddenly rose to his throat. In his next plan, he had always assumed that the two immortal emperors were under control and would not affect the eastern and western immortal realms. But what if they returned to their respective immortal realms and then led the immortals in the immortal realms to rebel against the immortal world? Zhu Yun's original plan was to first fight against the internal affairs, and then deal with the central immortal realm in one fell swoop. No matter what conspiracy Qiu Linjian, the Lord of Wind, Cloud, Thunder, or Ye Yang had, in the face of absolute power, they would be powerless to resist. But at this time, no, we can't just go in the dark like this, and we have to know something. Zhu Yun frowned and took out his immortal mirror. He took a deep breath, and after making sure that there was no one around, he faced the immortal snow and controlled the laws of time and space. Time and space flow backwards. With his low shout, the power of the law emerged from the fairy mirror, lingering continuously, and finally wrapped around Zhu Yun's hand. He waved his hand lightly, and a long river of time and space appeared in front of him. In the long river of time and space, the scenes were all going backwards. Like the falling fairy snow, it floated back to the sky from the ground. But apart from this, there were no other scenes. But Zhu Yun was not in a hurry, it was just the time and space flow backwards, which consumed him very little, and at this time, he was below the entrance of chaos, and the fairy snow in the sky, he could also easily refine it for his own use, so as to provide him with the time and space flow backwards. And this look lasted for a long time. Until Zhu Yun saw Wanjian Mountain, Wan Potion, and the two fairy emperors. But he only saw the human figure, but did not hear his voice. Wan Potion, did you take these two away? Did you take them to the Mayanbei Immortal Kingdom, or did you take them out of the Immortal Kingdom and go to a certain immortal realm? The long river of time and space that Lu Chen used here could only see the time and space flow backwards in this small area. As long as the three immortals left this place, he didn't know what would happen next. But what is certain is that Wan Potion did not kill them. Logically speaking, Wan Potion should not have held back when he scolded so fiercely before. Zhu Yun frowned, puzzled. In addition to seeing the image, no sound could be heard. Even the breath could not be felt. Zhu Yun could not determine the status of the two immortal emperors. If they reached any consensus, it would be difficult for me to leave this Mayanbei Immortal Kingdom. He withdrew the long river of time and space, restrained his breath, and then fled all the way under the cover of chaos immortal snow. The safest way at the moment is to leave the Mayanbei Immortal Kingdom and go back to Purgatory Mountain first. After resolving the matter of Purgatory Mountain, he could at most bring Bei Minjiun and the Zhenxian who had regained his immortal body back here to find out what happened. By then, the two immortal kings would be by his side, and he would also have the Chaos Emperor chain in his hand. Even if Wan Potion wanted to fight him, he would have to think carefully. But at this point, Zhu Yun still felt that Wan Potion should not be bewitched by the two immortal emperors. But Zhu Feng, I told him before to come to Mayanbei Immortal Kingdom. If he met two immortal emperors, I don't know what would happen. He could no longer return to the Three Talents world at this time. If he wanted to go, he would have to go in the opposite direction, and the journey was extremely long. I can only rush to Purgatory Mountain and come back to solve the problem before Zhu Feng. Zhu Yun sighed and quietly sneaked out of Mayanbei Immortal Kingdom. During the period, he could still meet many immortals. Their eyes were dull and lifeless. They were obviously overly enslaved by the original Ximen Yuanqing and the five elements loose immortals. The Mayanbei Immortal Kingdom is at the junction of the Northern Immortal Realm and the Western Immortal Realm. After Zhu Yun came out, he quickly entered the Northern Immortal Realm. He ran all the way. After a few days, he finally passed the Northern Immortal Emperor Realm. He took a look and did not enter it, but rushed all the way to Purgatory Mountain. A few days later, Zhu Yun saw Purgatory Mountain. But what he saw at this time was different from the previous time. Because Lin Zhenghong's act of sealing the mountain caused the current situation. The mountain is still there, still floating in the void of the universe. But as long as a normal person can see that there seems to be something in between. It's mysterious, it actually contains the great Dao of space. Zuyun took a closer look, and then used the divine eye technique. He got the true teachings from Lin Zhenghong, and soon saw how to enter it. In addition, his attainments in the laws of space are not low, just a slight move in his heart, he entered Purgatory Mountain again. Zuyun did not stop, but rushed directly to the top of Purgatory Mountain. Zuyun, where have you been? Bei Minjiun stood up with a face full of resentment. After Zuyun left, she had been guarding here, fearing that the 5 elements immortals inside would join forces with Lin Fei to rush out. Unlike Zuyun, she didn't know what happened inside. But Zuyun had suddenly left for such a long time, and there was no news, which made her naturally very worried. Something unexpected happened. Zuyun smiled apologetically, and then said, "Next, I will withdraw this formation, and then use the Chaos Emperor chain to tie up one of them first. Then we will work together to kill the other one, how about it?" Bei Minjiun's eyes lit up, and said, "Should we tie up the 5 elements immortals or Lin Fei first?" Zuyun shook his head and said, "I'm not sure either. Let's see who is suitable to tie up. I'll go in first. After the Chaos Emperor chain ties up one of them, the other one will definitely attack me. I don't have much time, so I can only remove the formation first. You have to hurry up and come in to help me." "Don't worry," Bei Minjiun's beautiful eyes condensed, and said, "I'll stand here. These 2 people are fighting one against one. I'm not afraid of anyone. After all, this is my northern fairyland." Zuyun sighed and said, "Purgatory Mountain is separated from the fairyland. It looks like it is still in the northern fairyland, but in fact it is no longer in the same place. You must be careful and don't be careless." "I know." Bei Minjiun was slightly dissatisfied, wrinkled his nose, and said, "I am the Northern Fairy Emperor, and I also fought to get out. No one gave it to me." Zuyun curled his lips, then nodded to Bei Minjiun, and sneaked into the mountain pass again. At this time, Lin Fei and the 5 elements Xianxia were already working together to release evil spirits. It was obvious that the recovery of the positive fire had exceeded their strength. As the situation became more serious, they had to join forces to deal with it. However, in this way, the tense situation will last for a long time. Maybe 100 years, maybe 1,000 years. Zuyun didn't want to wait. In his plan, Purgatory Mountain was also a very important part. In the mountain, although the prison wardens of the Lin family were no longer at the level of Immortal Lord, there were still many Lucian Immortals and Eluo Jinxians. If these could be used for their own benefit, they could also shock one side. Tie up Lin Fei first, and then let Xiaobei deal with the 5 elements loose Immortals. Zuyun's heart moved, and the Chaos Emperor chain suddenly wrapped around Lin Fei. No, that man sneaked in again. The 2 opened their eyes almost at the same time and found Zuyun's position. Immediately, regardless of the evil spirit and the righteous fire, 2 huge pressures suddenly pressed towards Zuyun. Zuyun was not afraid at all, and looked up at the top of his head at the first time. Under the divine eye technique, the formation was broken. Bei Mingyunru was like a banished immortal descending to the mortal world. She wanted to act according to the plan, but she didn't expect these 2 people to attack Zuyun together. In desperation, she controlled her immortal power and planned to protect Zuyun first. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1823. Xiaobei, follow the plan. Zuyun's face changed drastically when he saw Bei Minjiun was going to protect him. Although he was in a critical situation, he didn't need Bei Minjiun to protect him. Whether it was Lin Fei or the 5 elements Xianxian, both of them were extremely powerful immortals. Even just a thought could change the situation. Zhu Yun never thought that Bei Minjiun, who was also an immortal, would change his plan in such a critical situation, which would most likely make him fail. But now, he had no choice but to shout and let Bei Minjiun suppress one person again. No, you can't stop them. Bei Minjiun was eager to save people and was unwilling to distract himself to attack one of the immortals. It could even be said that he was a little stubborn. Xiaobei, attack Linfei. Zhu Yun also reacted quickly. He was calm in the face of danger. He knew it was difficult to persuade Bei Minjiun to turn back. He saw that the five elements Xianxia was a little closer, and made the most correct decision under such circumstances. At the same time, he also threw the Chaos Emperor chain towards Linfei. And with the other hand, he took out the immortal mirror. Time and space, stop. At this moment, he did not hold back. Instead, he drained all the Chaos Immortal power in his body, and added all the immortal power converted from the glazed world and the immortal mansion. Hua! With an ethereal sound, all the objects in front of Zhu Yun, whether visible or invisible, whether it was substantial things or invisible forces, they all stopped in that instant. But he knew that with his Deluo Jinxian, even if the laws he controlled were strong, it would be difficult to restrain for too long. But it was enough. Chaos Emperor Chain, go. He quickly came back to his senses and focused his attention on the Chaos Emperor Chain. The Chaos Emperor Chain, which was combined into one, plus Zhu Yun's Chaos Immortal power, seemed to use the Chaos Escape technique, and bound Linfei. It's just a mere Emperor Chain, even if it's trapped, what's the harm? Linfei was like crazy. He really didn't expect that Bei Minjiun would come to Purgatory Mountain with Zhu Yun again. Recalling the various mysterious things he saw before, it is obvious that Lin Zhenghong and Zhu Yun have joined forces. Lin Zhenghong only has the immortal soul left, and the Emperor Chain is equivalent to an ownerless thing. Linfei was actually shocked in his heart, shocked by the immortal mirror used by Zhu Yun and the laws of time and space he controlled. But the battle situation changes rapidly. He knows that he only needs to hold on for half a breath to let the five elements loose immortals relax, and then help him kill Bei Minjiun. Moreover, the seal has been lifted, and Purgatory Mountain will eventually return to his control. At that time, he will also have the capital to renegotiate cooperation with the five elements loose immortals, and finally trap Lin Zhenghong to death in the Tianfu space. In such a moment, Lin Zhenghong has seen his bright future. Even if the Emperor Chain trapped him, what can he do? Instead, he was no longer worried about his life. Unfortunately, he didn't expect that this was not the Emperor Chain, but the Chaos Emperor Chain. It was a 5-in-1 Emperor Chain that was passed down by Xian Wuzong himself. Crash! While Linfei didn't take it seriously at all, he blasted towards Bei Minjiun. In order to save Zhu Yun, Bei Minjiun didn't have any protection. Immediately, she was blasted out of the mountain pass, but at the same time, she was tightly bound by the Chaos Emperor Chain. Xiaobei! Zhu Yun gritted his teeth. Bei Minjiun's stubbornness exceeded his imagination. Linfei was trapped and had no strength to fight again. And the five elements loose immortal. As long as Bei Minjiun's protection against him was blasted away, his own time and space stillness could be quickly broken, and then he would no longer be able to deal with it. Suddenly, Zhu Yun also wanted to leave and planned to temporarily withdraw from Purgatory Mountain. At least, the chaotic time and space in Purgatory Mountain and the fairy world could trap them for some time. However, the advantage of the righteous fire is gone. Once they leave the mountain pass, the evil spirits in their bodies will be released again, and no one can suppress it. Zhu Yun looked deeply at the five elements Xianxia who was slowly practicing in the stillness of time and space, and then quickly escaped from the mountain pass. As for Linfei, he didn't have time to care about him. Anyway, after being tied up by the Chaos Emperor Chain, no one can save him except Xian Wuzong's return. Let him stay here. Perhaps, the righteous fire here will slowly refine him. Zuyun took a deep breath, knowing that time waits for no one, and he didn't have much chaos fairy power, so he could only barely fly out of the mountain pass, and then found Bei Minjiun, who fell to the foot of the mountain. Zuyun, I. Bei Minjiun looked bitter. To be honest, after seeing Zuyun take out the fairy mirror and use the law of time and space, she knew that she had done something bad with good intentions. It's okay, Zuyun couldn't blame him, and said, let's leave Purgatory Mountain first. Okay. 1,000 words, no matter how many words he said, were out of place at this moment. Zuyun picked up Bei Minjiun, and then used the few remaining Chaos Immortal powers, used the Divine Eye technique, and then drilled back into the immortal realm from the space crack between the two realms. Floating in the void, they looked at Purgatory Mountain. At the mountain pass, the 5 elements loose immortal had already broken away from the stillness of time and flew out. He was seen standing on the platform at the mountain pass, looking at Zuyun and Bei Minjiun. It's all my fault, otherwise they would have died. Bei Minjiun felt extremely guilty. I really didn't expect that you could integrate the laws of time and the laws of space, and have an immortal weapon that fits so well. Alas, Zuyun sighed and said, that was left by Nangong Tianli, and I also made this immortal weapon change by chance. But you don't need to worry, it just needs more time. There's no way to escape. Lin Fei is also from Purgatory Mountain. He should be able to break through the mountain ceiling formation, right? Bei Minjiun knew more or less. Lin Fei. Zuyunqi laughed, his face full of disdain, and said, Xiao Bei, do you know why I let you attack Lin Fei? Because I no longer take Lin Fei seriously. It's just a pity. Having said this, he shook his head and said nothing again. He was afraid that if he continued speaking, Bei Minjiun's self-esteem would be hurt. Actually, you don't need to hide your strength from me, Bei Minjiun naturally knew Zuyun's intentions, and said with a wry smile, I thought you had no ability to protect yourself, so you were just fighting for the chance. When you saw them, you used your immortality to at that moment. I didn't want you to die when the king's power came to you. Zuyun felt warm in his heart. Bei Minjiun's thoughts were understandable. Forget it, let's not talk about it. Zuyun cheered up and said, are you seriously injured? Fortunately, it is not that easy to kill me in the northern immortal realm. Over the years, I have been able to feel the protection of the northern mythical beasts. Suanwu. Zuyun was stunned. Yes, the power of Suanwu. In addition to practicing the laws of ice, I also practice the power of Suanwu. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1824. Zuyun was surprised. Suanwu's defense is very strong, you. Yes, Bei Minjiun sighed, and said, the defense is strong, but it doesn't help with any attack. The reason why the northern fairyland is like this is also because of this relationship. The other immortal emperors are naturally more radical against other beasts. Zuyun was stunned for a moment, then turned and said, what about the central fairyland? There are no beasts in China. China just doesn't have ancient beasts, but the ancestral land of the Phoenix clan is in the central fairyland. Zuyun knew this. But before, he didn't think too much. At this time, when it was mentioned that each fairyland had the power of ancient beasts from all sides, he couldn't help but think of a question. The central fairyland was forcibly drawn from all the fairylands by Yeyong to himself, and became the central fairyland. The Phoenix clan is the ancestral land of the beasts. Such a change has occurred again. Could it be that this central fairyland really has some secret plot that he has never imagined? Thinking back to it, Xianxia, who controls the fairy world, also disappeared. The passage to the demon world is open. All these events seem to be connected together. The ancient beasts are beasts. The Phoenix clan is also a beast. In addition, the Phoenix clan suddenly found the Phoenix Queen. And this Phoenix Queen has a great relationship with Xianxia, the Queen of the Central Fairy. The Phoenix clan is just the abbreviation of the Phoenix clan. After communicating with the two clans in the Three Talents world, Zuyun also has a certain understanding of the two clans of beasts. The Dragon clan with the dragon transformation pool is the real Dragon clan. The Phoenix clan with a complete Phoenix is the real Phoenix clan. The Central Fairyland, I'm afraid there will be trouble. Zuyun couldn't think of the key, but he had guessed the result. What did you say? Originally, they were still talking about the northern beasts, but Zuyun's topic suddenly turned to the Central Fairyland. Zhonfang Xianyu, Zuyun took a deep breath and said to Bei Minjian, Xiao Bei, my original plan was to go to Zhonfang Xianyu. But I didn't think about the seriousness of the matter. Tell me what you need me to do. This time, I will definitely listen to you. Zuyun smiled bitterly and said, originally, I just wanted to keep the country stable and then deal with the foreign invasion and find a way to solve the problem of the Demon Realm passage. But now, I must seal the Demon Realm passage first and then solve Zhonfang Xianyu. You mean, return Zhonfang Xianyu to the four major fairy realms? I don't know. Zuyun didn't have a complete plan yet, so he simply shook his head. You have to eat one bite at a time. For now, let's solve Purgatory Mountain first. Purgatory Mountain is a very important part of my plan. In addition to strangling the two immortals, he also needs the help of the prison envoy in Purgatory Mountain. He also wants Lin Zhenghong to return to his immortal body. It won't be so easy to keep the country stable. Zuyun uses Bei Minjian as a backer, which is very likely to cause resistance from ordinary immortals. But with the help of Purgatory Mountain, it will be justified. He has known this since he was a child. Water can carry a boat, but it can also overturn it. They are boats, but those ordinary immortals in the fairy world are water. I will listen to you. Zuyun didn't say it very clearly, but Bei Minjian now regarded himself as Zuyun's assistant, and just said that everything would be up to him. For now, you should recover as much as possible. I want to find a way, to see if I can go back to Purgatory Mountain. Hearing this, Bei Minjian was shocked. No. If I don't go, I'm afraid the five elements loose immortals will kill all the ordinary prison envoys. Zuyun's eyes flashed coldly, and he said, and didn't you say, now you will listen to me? Bei Minjian opened her mouth, but finally didn't say anything to stop Zuyun. If you encounter danger, it's better to protect yourself. In the end, she only spit out the sentence. Don't worry, Zuyun smiled and said, if I really can't defeat him, I have my own way to escape. However, I won't use it unless it's absolutely necessary. His method, of course, is to get into the glazed world. But after entering, it will take a lot of time to return here. After all, you have to go through the chaos and return to the Cotton North Fairyland. But your fairy power now. It doesn't matter, Zuyun smiled, I have recovered a lot. This is true. The Dragon Stone and Zuyun have a tacit understanding. After he transferred all the chaotic fairy power in the fairy house, he knew that Zuyun must have encountered a problem, and he would do his best. And the creatures in the glazed world will know something, and will contribute their faith power. These faith powers will be gathered in the fairy house through the nearest golden statue. In addition, the world tree and the world mountain are the same. At this moment, Zuyun has recovered 10% of the chaotic fairy power, plus his own chaos lotus, it is almost 20%. Xiaobei, see you later. Zuyun slowly flew towards Purgatory Mountain. At this time, the five elements immortal was obviously called back by Lin Fei and was no longer standing at the mountain pass. He also took this opportunity to sneak into Purgatory Mountain again. With a flash of his figure, Zuyun appeared at the foot of the mountain again. He restrained his breath and hid on the side of the mountain road. At the same time, in the mountain pass, Lin Fei looked extremely anxious and said to the five elements immortal, "Think of a way to untie this emperor chain. This is your treasure of Purgatory Mountain. I can't untie it." The five elements immortal's eyes were shining, and he didn't even want to try. Five elements. If something happens to me, you alone are no match for Bei Minjiun and Zuyun. Lin Fei was anxious. He thought that it was just the original emperor chain, and even if it was tied up, there would be no danger. But at this time, he clearly felt the difference of the emperor chain, and there was no protection at all. In this way, let alone waiting for Zuyun to come, when the five elements immortal found him, he would definitely kill him here first. A useless immortal king, the five elements immortal would definitely not let him stay. So, he could only use this to remind the five elements immortal. "I can't save you, but..." The five elements immortal showed a half smile and said, "I can take you out. Of course, the premise is that you can lead the way." He just stood at the mountain pass. In addition to observing Zuyun and Bei Minjiun, there is another very important point, which is to see how far this mountain ceiling formation has been achieved. If he can leave, he will leave first as a respect. He also couldn't see how to break the formation, and only after Lin Fei called him back did he talk to Lin Fei. "I can break the mountain ceiling formation. But, I don't have immortal power, how can I break it?" He could only barely float above the fire now. If he wanted to break the formation, he had to let the five elements loose immortal carry him. "You mean, you want me to carry you out?" The five elements loose immortal's eyes were shining. He was not someone who was easy to fool. He was afraid that Lin Fei could untie the emperor chain by himself and then trap him, so he would naturally not get too close to Lin Fei. Now, the two of them were in a stalemate. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1825. At the same time, Zuyun also quietly climbed to the top of Purgatory. The ordinary warden is on the back of the mountain. There is no other way to get here but to go around the top of the mountain. His original intention was to take all the wardens and leave Purgatory Mountain temporarily. But as soon as they arrived at the mountain pass, they heard the sound of arguments inside. "It seems they didn't expect me to come back. Why don't they listen and talk about it first?" After hearing Lin Fei say that he had a way to solve the problem, Zuyun naturally did not dare to neglect it. The reason why he was so confident was because he thought it would be difficult for the two of them to escape from this trap. Lin Fei was bound by the Chaos Emperor chain. Not to mention that he had no strength to fight anymore, he didn't even have the strength to defend himself. There is no need for him to take action, he only needs to tell the five elements loose immortal about the news, and provoking internal fighting between them is a good way. "Five elements. You don't trust me so much. I'm trapped by the Emperor's chain now, and I don't have any power to do anything. You just need to take me away from here, find a desolate place and throw me down. When the time comes, I will just find a way to solve it." In order to survive, Lin Fei also started to talk nonsense. "Then tell me the method and I'll go out by myself. Once I know the method, wouldn't it be more convenient to take you out?" The five elements loose immortal didn't quite believe in Lin Fei either. Both of them are treacherous people. Working together is nothing more than using each other. "Five elements. I told you, there is no way I can do anything to you. Why don't you believe me?" Lin Fei was also angry. He stared at the five elements loose immortal with wide eyes. "You can't blame me." Five elements loose immortal spread his hands and said, "After all, you are also from Purgatory Mountain. What if you can untie the Emperor's chain at this moment and are waiting for me to get close? 5 elements, you. Lin Fei took a deep breath and said, you really don't believe me. Why should I believe you? After the 5 elements loose immortal asked back, the mountain pass suddenly fell into silence. Zhu Yun rolled his eyes. If these two people were fighting among themselves, he would have a chance. This is much more convenient than trying his best to save people. After just thinking for a few breaths, Zhu Yun stretched his head over. Hey, this Emperor chain has no protective effect. If you feel uncomfortable seeing the 5 elements loose immortal, you can do something. This sudden sound startled both of them. How dare you come back? The 5 elements Xianxia suddenly raised his head and slapped Zhu Yun with a palm. Hey hey. Zhu Yun had already been on guard, laughed strangely, then retracted his head, and escaped from Purgatory Mountain without saying a word. The 5 elements loose immortal did not come after him. You can understand it if you think about it. If you were a 5 elements loose immortal and saw a Luo Jin immortal dare to appear suddenly, you must be fully prepared. There is no need to pursue further. On the contrary. Lin Fei in front of me. Lin Fei was also horrified after Zhu Yundao broke the secret of the Chaos Emperor chain. He expected that the 5 elements loose immortal would deal with him, so he rushed out of Purgatory Mountain without caring about anything else and headed towards the back of the mountain. Get away. He still has residual immortal power. You can find a prison to hide in. This is also one of his trump cards. Although he is a traitor to Purgatory Mountain. But Purgatory Mountain does not have autonomous consciousness. Lin Zhenghong has also become an immortal soul, and no one can suppress him in Purgatory Mountain. No. There is also Zhu Yun. But obviously, Zhu Yun also ran away. Want to run away? It seems you did lie to me before. The 5 elements loose immortal quickly chased out and immediately saw Lin Fei getting into a cave. These caves are where evil immortals are imprisoned. After being interrogated and asked about the principles of evil practices practiced by evil immortals, they will be imprisoned in different mountain pass depressions according to the degree of evil. Lin Fei chose the place closest to the mountain pass, which was naturally considered a serious crime. The defense is also stronger, and can more or less withstand the strong attack of the 5 elements loose immortal, and can last longer. Lin Fei. Standing at the entrance of the cave, the 5 elements loose immortal also felt the extent of the restriction and couldn't help shouting angrily. Wuxing, you also have something in your heart. We are all the same, so no one should laugh at the other. Lin Fei took a breath and shouted loudly. I really don't trust you. The 5 elements Xianxia sneered, this is your territory. What should I do if you cheat? In that case, there is nothing more to say. When I untie this Emperor's chain, I will go find you as soon as possible. Lin Fei knew that right now he had no other choice but to threaten the 5 elements loose immortal and ask him to find Zhu Yun. Very good, the 5 elements loose immortal sneered, then just use it up and see who can use it up more than the other. Hey, Lin Fei broke the pot and said, anyway, you will die before me. You can't get out, but Zhu Yun can bring Bei Minjiun in. Although I hurt Bei Minjiun with a palm earlier, but it's not too heavy. This is the northern immortal realm, and I can feel that she is protected by the northern beast. I think she will be the first to deal with it when the time comes. We can only cooperate. If you carry me, I will take you out. The 5 elements loose immortal admitted in his heart that what Lin Fei said was the best way at the moment. But just in case. 5 elements. There is no other way. Either die together or live together. How about you and I swear an oath of immortality? When they reach this level, they usually don't swear easily. Why did they go through so much hardship and make such troubles after reaching the realm of the immortal lord? Wasn't it to reach the legendary immortal realm? If they swore the immortal way oath, what if they were bound by the immortal way and their final ascension was affected? But compared with life and death, the unfounded and not necessarily existent immortal way oath was not so important. Okay, I will believe you again. 5 elements loose immortal sneered, 5 elements loose immortal, swear here to cooperate with Lin Fei and not to hurt each other. If I violate this, I will die on the spot, my soul will be gone, and I will never be reborn. Looking at the immortal light flashing on 5 elements loose immortal, Lin Fei knew that the immortal way oath had been fulfilled. He also began to swear. The oaths of the two were the same. Compared with 5 elements loose immortal, his situation was more difficult. There was only one way to die. So, he had to do this. But as the saying goes, bare feet are not afraid of those wearing shoes. Lin Fei also knew this well, which is why he forced the 5 elements immortal to save Fan. Zhu Yun had calculated everything, but he didn't expect that he wanted to provoke their internal fighting, but everything was ruined because of the immortal oath. At this time, he was still outside the Purgatory Mountain, guarding the side of Beiminjian. Strange, the 5 elements immortal chased Lin Fei to the back mountain. Why is there no movement? Just when he was suspicious, Zhu Yun saw the 5 elements immortal carrying Lin Fei, who was tied by the Chaos Emperor chain, flying over the mountain pass and heading to the foot of the mountain. Not good, they cooperated. Beiminjian had not yet fully recovered, and Zhu Yun's face suddenly changed.